The Kansas City Chiefs just left us all speechless. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Kansas City Chiefs news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is Kansas City Chiefs rookie WR Xavier Worthy can bear the next Tyreek Hill and help the Chiefs win another Super Bowl. The rivalry between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills has been building over the last few seasons. The showdowns between quarterbacks Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen have been epic. NFL analyst and former general manager Michael Lombardi believes the Bills just helped the Chiefs tip the scales in their favor even more. Lombardi recently talked about the draft day trade that allowed the Chiefs to move up and snag Texas Longhorns receiver Xavier Worthy, number 28 overall. If you're Brandon Beane, you have to sit there and say, yeah, maybe Kansas City offered me a lot more. But why would I give Worthy to them? Who's a weapon? Who could become the next Tyreek Hill for them? Lombardi told Pat McAfee. Why am I doing anything to help the Chiefs? Lombardi quipped. That's going to come back and bite them in the ass if Worthy is as good as we think he could be. Sure. Or Coleman is going to come back and bite the Chiefs. Maybe the Bills gifted the Chiefs' dynamic offense another weapon, and Lombardi and the rest of the NFL scouts and analysts are right about Worthy. In that event, the Chiefs could be raising their 3rd straight Lombardi trophy and 4th in 6 years at the end of the season, while Beane, Josh Allen, and the rest of the Bills watch from home. Or Keon Coleman could be just as good as Xavier Worthy. And it's Lombardi and other critics who look foolish. The Kansas City Chiefs didn't completely revamp their wide receiver room this offseason, but they did add enough talent to raise the floor and ceiling of the group. In addition to Rashee Rice, the duo of Marquise Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy should form a nice top 3 on the depth chart. It comes at a cost, however, for others who occupied those spots to start the 2023 campaign. Kadarius Toney is directly impacted, although that marks the continuation of what's been a rough 10 months or so for him. What's the key to getting Toney back on track in 2029? Your den 24 in tricos no thou wine do. According to offensive coordinator Matt Nagy, the answer is simple. Speaking to the media on Thursday, Nagy used that exact word to describe what the process with Toney needs to look like. He understands the foundation mentally of where to go and where to line up, Nagy said. That's a big part of the process. Then the next part of the process is just making the simple plays be simple. He's so talented, and we as coaches then need to be able to put him in the right spot to not overdo it with him, but let him kind of go into this and just let things play out. When he has the ball in his hands, he's special. Timing is important, and you want to make sure when you get in training camp and put the pads on, you build that relationship with the quarterbacks. That's going to be key. Last offseason, the Chiefs pushed a narrative of Toney perhaps being their number 1 wideout. After suffering a knee injury during training camp, the former first-round pick returned for Week 1, but responded with the worst game of his career. He mistimed at least 1 route and had several drops, one of which was returned for a touchdown in what ended up being a 1-point loss. Over the course of the season, Toney struggled with ball security and being on the same page with quarterback Patrick Mahomes. He also dealt with injuries, not anything new for his 3-year career. Following a Week 15 game against the New England Patriots, Toney didn't appear in another contest for the rest of the season or playoffs. Despite the lack of availability and effectiveness, head coach Andy Reid endorsed Toney at the start of Kansas City's offseason program in April. Before the 2024 NFL Draft, general manager Brett Veach said Toney was likely the team's most talented wideout. None of that signals a lack of current belief, nor does Toney's 5th-year option being declined. It does, however, serve as a friendly reminder that Toney is not in nearly as high a favor now as he was a year ago. Every opportunity he gets during the rest of OTAs and into training camp will be earned, not given. He's more of a wideout number 5 or 6 at this point than a leading cast member. The club's hope appears to be that dialing back Toney's role will allow him to be more effective. Finding a way to blend the special talent Nagy referred to with simple execution is a tricky task, although it can be done. The reality of the situation is far from ideal, but Kansas City is saying the right things. If Tony is indeed a contributor, the Chiefs will look to find a way to bring only the best traits out. The second story is 8-time Pro Bowler makes plenty of sense for Chiefs as veteran depth. At this stage of the offseason, the Kansas City Chiefs are typically in evaluation mode, and as the veteran free agent market takes shape around the NFL, expect KC to look into a depth piece or potential emergency starter at positions like offensive tackle, running back, and cornerback. Regarding the latter, Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo and defensive backs coach Dave Merritt have already admitted that there's no replacing L'Jarius Sneed in 2024, hinting at a committee approach at cornerback without him while addressing the media on May 30th. That opens the door for a veteran addition if the Chiefs determine that they need a little insurance and experience behind the youth. The more expensive option if Kansas City goes this route is Stephon Gilmore, but Bleacher Report analyst Christopher Knox suggested a more affordable candidate on June 1st. Patrick Peterson would also make plenty of sense for the Chiefs, who traded L'Jarius Sneed this offseason, Knox wrote, acknowledging that Kansas City has a couple of talented young corners in Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie. And you can't forget Joshua Williams, who is often ignored despite major strides in 2023. A championship-caliber defense can never have too much cornerback depth, the analyst argued. And if Peterson is looking to finish his career with a ring, there isn't a more attractive team for him than the Chiefs. Ageless Patrick Peterson's stats have hardly dipped. When you look at Peterson's phenomenal career from an analytical standpoint, his worst coverage years came at the end of his run in Arizona from 2019 through 2020. Since then, the ageless wonder has somehow rejuvenated his game with the Minnesota Vikings and Pittsburgh Steelers. According to Pro Football Focus, Peterson allowed a passer rating of 66.8 and 80.4 the past 2 seasons, for example. More impressive were his 51.7 reception percentage and 186 yards after the catch when targeted in 2023. The latter was only 23 more yards than Sneed in a greater number of coverage snaps. One final area Peterson brings a lot to the table is as a playmaker and ball hawk. He has 36 career interceptions and forced 8 incompletions last season. For reference, McDuffie only forced 2 incompletions in 2023, while Sneed forced 17 and was 2 off the league lead. As you can see, Peterson may not be an all-pro at age 33, but he's still a very reliable cornerback with loads of knowledge and experience to pass down. The third story is Chiefs Isaiah Buggs arrested, released in animal cruelty case. Kansas City Chiefs defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs turned himself in to the Tuscaloosa County Jail on Thursday after he allegedly mistreated 2 dogs. A Tuscaloosa Police Department spokesperson confirmed that Buggs surrendered at the jail Thursday, a day after 2 misdemeanor warrants were filed against him. Buggs was booked and released on $600 bond and faces a court hearing on June 13th. He refused a reporter's question while leaving the jail and getting into a truck. According to court documents, the Tuscaloosa Police Department received a report that 2 dogs were being left on the back porch of a home being rented by Buggs. Officers and animal control found a gray and white pit bull and a black Rottweiler on a screened-in back porch with no access to food or water. Both dogs appeared malnourished and neglected, and the residents appeared to be betorned. Witnesses told police that Buggs had recently moved from the house. Both dogs were seized, and the pit bull eventually was euthanized. Buggs' agent, Trey Robinson, on Wednesday denied the charges and alleged his client is a victim of an ongoing subversive campaign to force the closure of the hookah lounge he owns in Tuscaloosa. Under no circumstance does Mr. Buggs condone the mistreatment of any animal, Robinson said in a statement. The dogs at issue did not belong to him, and he was unaware they remained at the property in question. Robinson said in his statement that Buggs was arrested at his hookah lounge on misdemeanor charges on 2 separate occasions in the past 2 months, but each time no public record was made of these arrests. Robinson added that the city was using the allegations against Buggs as leverage to get him to surrender his business license. A Chiefs spokesman said the team was aware of the situation, but declined to comment. Buggs, 27, played 3 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers and 2 with the Detroit Lions before joining the Chiefs in January as a practice squad player. The Chiefs re-signed Buggs to a futures contract in February. With the 31st pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Felix Anudike-Uzomah, defensive end, Kansas State. Roger Goodell proclaimed live with Union Station as the backdrop in Kansas City. The hometown team elected to stay put and not trade out at the end of the first round. The expectation was to use pick number 31, especially coming off a Super Bowl and hosting the draft,